Hello and welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, science and technology, and we have with us Mr. Gerald Garing from the Mohonasen Central School District is joining us. He's a K-12 Science and Technology Administrator.
Right.
Welcome to the show, Gerald.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. Just for the audience at home, maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I've been the Science Administrator for, this is my 6th year at Mohonasen. Prior to coming to Mohonasen, I was a classroom teacher for 32 years in teaching mostly science and physics. So the job, being able to work with the entire district, the K-12 program, is quite an interesting, exciting program, and of course the science and technology piece, which are so interrelated to one another.
Yeah. And I've had a chance to visit the school many times, and I know that the programs there are very good. I took a tour. I talked to some of your students. What's the goal of the science and technology programs there? What is the direction that it's going in?
Mm-hmm. When I came to Mohonasen, there are a lot of good programs already in place. So it was a case of seeing what we had and what we could do with them and maintaining and improving. And one of the things we've looked at a lot over the past couple of years is not only the science and technologies courses, but what are they doing to prepare students? And you know, we look at the students who are planning for 4-year colleges or 2-year colleges, and there are a lot of careers out there, but they all share a technical science thread to them, and it's the hope to get kids hooked, get them interested, get them to see what their opportunities are and realistic kinds of futures for them.
And it's not as easy as it sounds. And being in the engineering field, it's not exactly something that's promoted in schools a lot, but
Right.
it's starting to get better. And it's programs like that I think kind of expose kids early on to get them interested and to kind of open up to say, hey, there's a huge world of science and technology here that you may not know about. I had a chance to talk about some of your particular programs earlier before the show, but why don't you tell us about some of the particular programs and how the kids are receiving the information?
Mm-hmm. Well, we have, of course, our typical science courses with advanced placement and college preparation type courses, and we don't want to at all overemphasize those or underemphasize those, but at the same time we're looking at the kinds of courses that perhaps the students who are not looking at 4-year colleges and what can happen to them. And there's a lot of math technical. We hear STEM in the news a lot: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and those subjects are traditionally subjects that are considered somewhat academic, but there are a lot of applications for those. So what we'd like to do is show students that you can get 2-year degrees and technical skills that are really applicable in a wide range of settings. We're looking at things like manufacturing along with engineering. We're finding that students only see engineering but get into engineering and it's not exactly what they thought it was. But on the other hand, you take the hands-on kinds of manufacturing skills or trade skills and you realize there's not such a big gap between those two. So the engineers and the technicians work hand in hand, and those skills are very transferable.
And it's sort of like it's almost like a hands-on learning experience.
Right, right.
And the kids are actually interacting. Not only are they learning the material, but they're also getting a chance to, actually touch and put things together to see how they work.
We're trying to really emphasize that in our technology programs in particular. One of the things we've begun is a program for 9th grade students who would like to survey many different technical trades. We call it an Introduction to Tech and Trades. And part of that is to get them out into the field to see what kinds of jobs are out there. We're looking at things like residential construction, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, electrical. So we expose them to a lot of these different companies, and we found tremendous support with local companies who welcome us and welcome what we're trying to do. But these kids can see that, and we hope that as they move through 10th, 11th, and 12th grades, something sort of focuses them into one area, and they can pursue that.
Yeah, and so you've been able to form partnerships with local companies that are willing
Right.
to participate in this, and that's really a big thing, that the community wants to get involved as well, and it kind of benefits both sides. To bringing up the next generation of kids that are going to be involved in these careers.
I think it's very important that the schools and businesses and industry work together. I mean, budgets are getting tough for everybody.
Right.
There is a workforce shortage out there, despite what we hear about employment. There just is a shortage of workers who can take on these kinds of skilled, trained jobs, and many of our local companies are feeling that pinch. And realizing that helping to partner to the solution is beneficial.
Yeah, it's and in my field as well. There's the engineering graduate. I guess the local engineers. The number has been declining over the years, and we're kind of turning that around, and it's through programs like this that really make the difference. And I know you've been involved with programs like Future City Competition, which we talked about not too long ago. That's something where you can reach kids at an early age. They kind of have fun. They learn, and you feel what it's like to design things.
Right.
And how has that been received in the school district?
Oh, the Future City's been a real success for us. I mean, I won't say that it's not a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
We get kids involved, but they really get into it. That's a middle school initiative, so we have our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders involved with that. But that particular competition involves a lot of different skills, from computer designing of cities and planning, to essay writing, to model building, to presenting their model to a set of judges as almost a theatrical presentation.
Yes,
so
yes.
The ability of kids to be creative in that is just huge, and run with it.
And the participation's been pretty consistent amongst the students.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have quite a few kids get involved, some seriously enough that stick with it right through the end of the presentation, others who pick different parts of it to become involved with. But we run it very open-ended. Kids can come into it at any time they want.
Yeah, and that's, that's coming up, new school
yeah.
year, and teams are going to be gearing up for that, so I look forward to seeing that competition. Look forward to seeing your team there again. And there's quite a few actually sort of competitive, I guess, challenging programs like that. Besides Future Cities, what are some of the others that you've been involved with?
We have, at the high school and science level, participate in the National Science Bowl. And there are 2 levels for that. One is a middle school, one's a high school competition. We've been able to have teams at both. The middle school competition is interesting. What it is basically is a kind of a masterminds contest, but the middle school contest involves a portion where the kids design and build some kind of a race car. They've been powered by hydrogen fuel cells, they've been powered by photocells, and it gives kids real good experience on how to connect things, wire things, problem solve. It's been just an awful lot of fun. The high school contest doesn't have that component to it.
Okay.
But the kids have been really supportive. We've grown from 1 team to 2 teams at the high school level over the past several years. So participation is really good in that. Some of the other things that we have, we've competed in the Team America Rocket Challenge in the past, building some quite large rockets to compete with that.
Now, are these things that they actually go outside and rockets blast off?
Oh yeah.
It's not an indoor thing?
It's not an indoor thing, and these were quite large rockets. We're not participating for the past several years in that, but we have in the past. And again, we try to respond to what students will do, and sometimes you get groups of students interested in certain things.
Well, yeah, that seems like a lot of fun. I wish I had seen it, but is it are these programs pretty much open to all students, or is it just particular students that are taking certain courses? Or
we promote them through our classes to students. We promote them through announcements to our students, and anybody who wants to participate is more than welcome to participate. We also have a National Science Honor Society chapter.
Okay.
They're quite an active chapter in that the students help to tutor, and they also take on several initiatives, such as an elementary science demo day where the high school kids team up to put on about 11 or 12 demonstrations the elementary students will come through. They'll spend a day in the elementary school, and the students will come through, and they'll show them their demonstrations. And to see the high school kids interact with the elementary kids and vice versa is really very rewarding, as well as the teachers interacting with one another, because that brings them together.
Yeah, it does. And you had said some students stick with these programs throughout their time there. Have you heard of any stories of kids coming back and saying, hey, this really made a difference, or they've gone on into a science and technology career?
Oh, we have. We hear them from kids who've gone on to engineering schools will come back and talk to our tech teachers and tell them, you know, that what they did, or their parents will talk to them what they did, and so yeah, we do hear those stories.
That's great to hear. It's great to hear when people actually come back and say that this really made a difference, and that's the whole point of it, is to get people involved, and it seems to be working. And I really commend you for your efforts and really moving these programs to the next level and keeping kids interested and involved. I know the website has a lot of information. I looked through it. I'm just going to give that out for people watching at home, www.mohonasen.org. Yep, mohonasen.org. And they can always reach you if anybody's interested in learning more or asking some more questions. And that email is Garing, Garing, at mohonasen.org.
.org, very simple.
Okay, great. And the contact information is also on the website. There's a lot of information, a lot of good pictures as well. And I see there's the Capital Region BOCES had a page. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the recent news article that was displayed on there.
Sure. We recently, as of last spring, formed a partnership with BOCES Career Technical Education Center to offer a machining manufacturing program at our facility. So it's a BOCES VOTEC program in cooperation with Mohonasen, and it's a 2-year program. We have some lathes and mills and CNC materials, equipment, and the idea is to get these kids some of these skills that they can take out into the workforce or pursue through Hudson Valley or Schenectady Community College, 2-year degrees, further training, but give them those skills to go out in the workforce. And this has been a very rewarding project with BOCES to be able to do this, because it just is a whole new level of experiences for our kids.
And I see also there's CAD, which I work with, computer-aided drafting. Are kids also getting involved in learning how to use these computer systems to design things?
Oh, yeah. We've just inaugurated our first class with 11 students in it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
This September. We just opened the doors, so we're only in our 3rd week now of it. But we've taken those students, and all the students in there have already been through similar courses at our building. We offer some materials processing courses, and that's where kids were really first exposed to this kind of thing. But they're taking it to a new level now. They've been working on machining parts to build a small steam engine. In the meantime, they've been working to draw the parts out on CAD, and so eventually we're going to introduce them to SolidWorks, Mastercam, and then they'll be integrating that into CNC machining later on in the year.
That's great. That sounds like a great program, and it is a big step. You know, another piece of the puzzle to getting students involved with these programs, and it sounds great. And I can't wait to hear some more back from the students from how receptive they've been to it. I guess I wanted to talk a little more about the robotics program, because I came and took the tour and I saw the finished product and how the kids were able to build a robot. How does that program work, and what's involved? What are the steps involved? Because it seemed like a very somewhat complicated project that they produced that they were able to display to the people watching.
The robotics contest is part of something called the First Tech Challenge for robotics, and our project lead, the way engineering instructor, Mr. George Relusco, decided that this was going to be the focal point of his capstone course, which is called Engineering Design and Development. So the students work all fall to prepare for their contest at the end of January. And they start with a certain robotics kit, if you will, or pieces, if you will. But the challenge is to design that to do certain tasks, and that's where the challenge is.
And the robot had to pick up certain was it tubes?
Tubes.
Yep.
Yep. 1 year it was tubes, and pick up tubes, put them into like a stacking arrangement, be able to pick out the tubes. Yep. There's also a part where you have to program the robot to work on its own, to be able to go certain places and do things on its own. Yep. It's really a very interesting contest, and it builds all those skills that we talk about. You know, kids to work together and teamwork and problem solve
and basically the kids are starting from scratch. I mean, there is a kit involved, but they're starting from scratch, putting together the robot, putting the programming together, and then having it perform specific tasks.
Right.
And is it a timed contest? Who can do it the fastest, or who can?
There are facets of the contest, and when they go to compete, they will start out by teaming up with other schools. They'll get a partner.
Okay.
And so there's a part where they are competing for accuracy. There's parts they're competing for time.
Okay. And this is pretty much a school year-long program, and at the end is when this takes place, or is it?
No, actually, the contest occurs the end of January.
Okay.
So they'll go down at the very end of January to Pace University and run this contest.
I've seen, and I've also, and I think there was a video online. I don't know if it's still there, but I watched some of it, and it was very interesting to see. What are some of the other schools? Is it regional, or are there other schools from across the country, or is it?
It's regional. Most of the schools that we are competing with come from down around the Westchester, Rockland area. Okay. Although we have been, our class has been working with some schools out by Utica, and so we're trying to actually partner with them more so that we can sort of build our own presence.
It's great to be able to, they say the world has gotten smaller. It's great to be able to compete with other schools and see and for the most part, a lot of the finished products looked similar. People came up with similar robots, and it's great to see that, you're totally isolated during the building part, but they come out and it's pretty much everybody's in the right ballpark, and they got to where they needed to be. Well, that's a great program, and you said it's at Pace
University is where the contest occurs.
Boy, and it'd be great to get out there and see that firsthand for a day of robotics. So I wanted to just ask, I guess, there's a lot of programs, a lot of stuff going on, and this is all very interesting to me because being in the engineering field, I love when kids get involved and show interest in these type of programs. For the future, what are the goals? Where is the science and technology program going?
Well, I think we want to keep building on what we've started, and I think a huge piece of this is not being in isolation. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's happened a lot with schools is that over the years that they've had a certain specific function to do, and many of them have operated in isolation. But I think the more we can get our teachers to work with other teachers, both within our district and outside our district, bring in connections with industry and companies, the more relevant what we do becomes. Content is important, but I think if you think back to what you mentioned, kids coming back, you very seldom say, boy, I loved your class because of some piece of content, but it's the experiences that they have. And
and I'm a big fan of hands-on learning, especially with the engineering fields. I'm involved in surveying, and until you get out there and actually work the equipment, it's different than learning it in the classroom. And I think it's very effective, and a lot of these programs offer that. So again, the website is www.mohonasen.org. Lots of information on all these programs and more, and lots of contact information to get involved with any of these programs or learn a little more about them. Some of the notable events that have occurred, I guess we can talk about in the school year, this school year or past. Anything in particular?
So many of the events, they're all notable at whatever level, but we have, I think one of the highlights is when our high school, I told you about this high school kids going down for the demo day with the elementary, that is a highlight. Yeah. we run a science enrichment program in our one elementary school, which gives kids a chance to explore some things that they wouldn't ordinarily be able to do. I'd like to mention for a moment our elementary structure for science classes. What we have is our science labs. We have 2 elementary schools. One is K through 3, or 2, K through 2, and the other is 3 through 5.
Okay.
And so in each of those schools, there's a science lab in which teachers can bring the students in and actually do that hands-on part, which at an elementary level is not all that easy to do. So having those 2 science labs and our 2 instructors, Mrs. Lynch and Mrs. J. Mack, are just absolutely phenomenal how they drive that program and keep it, you know, just so exciting for kids to come in there. Is just a great model. So I think that, and as we launch our machining program, just a lot of exciting things.
And you've built up quite a, I guess, a curriculum. Are there any other programs that you're looking at or trying to get, maybe other partnerships?
Yeah, one of the other things that we've been working on, I told you a little bit earlier about our Introduction to Technology and Trades for kids in the 9th grade. It's an expansion of something we loosely named MOTEC.
Okay, all right.
And a program already in place for that is Criminal Sciences. And our Director of Security, Jeff Jackson, is really one of the movers behind that. But we have kids in 11th grade who naturally are interested in that kind of career. So in 11th grade, they take 2 courses, one in science, one in social studies, to learn the science part of it and the social legality part of criminal sciences. And then a number of them will have an opportunity to go out in the field and actually work during their senior year, either during the school day or some of them work at night, but in all kinds of different security fields or investigator fields. And again, you know, Jeff has done a phenomenal job of bringing those opportunities in for our students.
And there's, of course, you know, in recent years, there's a lot of science and technology with that field. It's actually moved the field along. So that fits right in with everything else that's going on with the programs. Is there any other information you want to give out to the audience as far as contact or any kind of a way for kids to inquire, maybe parents that want to know more, or people that want to help out with the program? Is it pretty much all school staff, or are there volunteers, or is there other ways to get involved if you're not participating as a student?
We'd welcome participation by anybody.
Okay.
We're just finding everybody has something to bring in, and anybody is welcome to contact us and become part of it, find out more about it, or offer services.
Okay. As we mentioned before, Future City's coming up, so teams are forming. We'll look forward to seeing Mohonasen's team this year. It's always a great, and that also occurs in January as well.
Yeah, it does.
So we'll see you there when that comes up. Again, the website is www.mohonasen.org. Email garing@mohonasen.org, and you also have a phone number that you can be reached at, 356-8254.
That's correct.
So if anybody has any more information or wants to find out more about a particular program, they can do that as well. I guess I want to thank you for being on the show. Is there the science and technology program? I've experienced firsthand. It's really great, and it's great to see that you're involved with it and you're kind of taking a charge on this stuff. And the support from the school district is there to advance these programs as well.
Absolutely, school district is very supportive, as has been the community, and I know the support that you've shown for it is unquestionable. I mean, between just these Future City and also coming out and working with our kids, coming out to see what they're doing and getting involved.
It's nice to see more involvement, and through New York State Society of Professional Engineers, their goal is to get involved with programs like this, and they always help when they can sponsor these things. But our goal is to make sure that these programs are available, and you're helping us do that, and we appreciate that. I guess that's all we have time for right now.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to have you back when you have some new programs, and we're going to talk about some of the students if they come back.
That'd be great.
And maybe we'll bring some students on the show at some point.
That'd be great.
So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And we'll talk again soon.